Hi, today we're going to show you how to put together the tall window lantern from Simply Crafty SVGs. And what I like to do with some of the 3D, not all, but some, are to add the panels first. So here's this top piece of the lid. It's kind of top shelf. You'll see it in a photo, but it's the top of the edge of the lid. So we just want to center this panel. Now you could emboss it. That would be fun. I did not. I wanted a solid look. Then we're going to add the panels for the sides. Now the reason I added the panels this way is so you could add the optional vellum backing. So that's not the size of the vellum, but that's essentially what it would look like if you put the vellum on the back, but it does match the size of the back of this. So it's the vellum pieces are slightly smaller than these panels, and so you would put those on first before gluing them on. So here we just attach these panels, and I usually start at the bottom, kind of start at the bottom edge, make sure it's lined up to the opening. And this piece is just a little bit, it's not exactly matching, so you can't see the white on the outside just in case you don't get it matched right. So inside you can usually see the excess color. I guess if that bothered you, you can see right here, then you could go ahead and put something on the back. But if you have vellum, you won't see that. So here, just showing you how sometimes folding on the score lines helps to place the panels. Sometimes I like to score them first, but if you prefer to do it while they're flat, not score but fold them. So again, I'm going to continue putting these panels on. And that's where you can get a completely different look if for some reason you wanted just the outline of the window and not the panel. You could actually put vellum on the inside. The reason I don't usually do that is because you can see it from the inside, and usually the reason now I've started putting the panels on the outside panel so you can't see it from the inside when it's opened. But if you really don't care, because the vellum covers it anyways, it doesn't matter. I plan to make a Christmas version of this. I didn't want to make it Christmas specific, but it would be a fun Christmas window lantern. You'll see a little preview of that when I show you the lid that I'm working on. So now those are done, we put them aside. And this piece here, as part of the lid, I'm going to score it first because that'll help me define where the edges are to center the panels. So I kind of fold it a little bit first and then flatten it. Then we're just going to center these panels on the solid pieces. Or you could completely omit them as well, or add a solid color or match it to the color of the side panels. And we have one more set of panels, but we'll leave those for later. So now we have the sides of the lantern. So we want to add glue to that long tab and then line up one of the pieces, the edge, to the tab fold. Make sure it's centered and aligned on the top and bottom. Apply pressure. And then what's nice with this, you can actually lay it flat to glue this next piece on. So you want to add glue to the next long tab. Then again, align the next piece, the piece's edge, to the tab fold. Go ahead and apply pressure. And once again to complete the actual body. And because it is a hexagon, you can flatten it easily to apply pressure. There you go. And you can see it's coming together there. So we're going to finish it by putting the bottom on this, and then we'll put it on the base. So this is how the little panel is going to slide in. We're going to put glue on those bottom tabs and slide the panel in. I didn't do that, I was just showing you how it goes in. So we want to add glue on the insides of all these. If for some reason you didn't want to use the base, you might want to put this on the bottom, the tabs on the bottom, if you wanted to use the file without the base. I'm sorry, this is the right way if you don't have the base. I wasn't saying the right thing. So basically just put the tabs all on the bottom so you can't see them. So you want to fold them all in after they have glue. Then carefully insert it and make sure that the edges line up to the different sections. Then make sure you're pushing in on the sides as you apply pressure, because you want that panel to match or to sit into the tab folds, the inside tab folds. And then I just used a wooden takeout chopstick to apply more pressure. You have to carefully hold it so you don't put your fingers through the panels. And if you had vellum, of course, you can stick your fingers through anyways. So, and that's finished and ready for when the base is complete. So here I'm going to show you how to fold the actual base. You want to make sure it's nice and folded before you put it together. If you have to apply, just make sure you get crisp edges as well as you can. But whether you're using a solid cut line, a score line from like a Cricut machine with a score, or with dash lines. So how it's going to go are these sides are going to go in, and then they'll flip over that little piece to close it up. So here we go. You can see we're going to glue these little tabs to the adjacent side. Have to get my little fine tip applicator. So I always start from the top and then go down, holding it for a couple seconds just to make sure it's secure before you glue the next tab. Might be hard with the first one, but after that it's just repetitive. So go ahead and glue all the side tabs until they're done, and then we'll go to the next part. So once you have all the tabs glued, we're going to fold over that top piece. So this is the top piece of the base. And you could actually make it the bottom if you wanted, but we're going to add glue to the tabs. Or you could use a double score tape, something like that, if it's easier for you. I don't like to do it because it's instantaneous, and sometimes I glue it wrong, or it sticks down and then I have to figure out how to unstick it. So I just add a generous amount of glue to make sure that it sticks. And then I'll just go around each edge as I fold it down. So just make sure we have enough glue here. But as we fold it down, I'll try to match up each edge. If it's off a little bit, try to match it up best you can. Mine was off a little bit. But you want to go around each section and rub on the tab lightly, because obviously the tabs go inward. So just want to try to match it up best you can. Apply pressure around all the tab areas, just rubbing it lightly. And then when you're satisfied it's kind of stuck in place, I flip it over and apply pressure. And like I said, you could use, it's meant to have that piece on the top, the smaller section on the top, but you could use it upside down too. And then I missed a little piece. So you can see how it sits on there, or how it'll be attached. But before then, we'll add the side panels. So before we add them, I like to kind of roll them over a round utensil. You want to curl them a little bit, and this will help to put them on. I didn't want to score in it, but you can kind of see the score through it when you attach it. But it'll be different for whether you're using cardstock or paper. I was using cardstock, so it's a little bit more difficult to put these panels on than it would a thinner paper. I'm only going to show you a couple, show you the first two and the last one, but you want to do this on all sides. So the best way that I found to do it is to, once you add glue on the back, we want to line it up. We're going to center it in each section on left and right, but we want to line it up to the top. So you want to line it up, but also centering on, so you'll have space on the left and right. And then you're going to want to apply pressure on the top, and it'll be more if you're using cardstock, as you can see it flipped up here. You'll want to hold it a good amount of time if you're using cardstock. For paper, it probably will adhere quicker because you don't have the force of the bend of the cardstock. And if it does lift up, you can just add a little bit more glue and apply pressure. But after you do the first one, you'll know how long you have to hold it. And this was glitter paper too, so even that's a little stiffer. So if it were just normal cardstock, then it probably would have sat down a little with less force. So here's the second one. Again, center it left and right, and then line the top edge up to the edge at the top, and then kind of apply pressure on the top first and then the bottom, or you can do both at once. And I just lightly rub it to make sure it adheres. And then we finish putting on the last one here, jumping ahead. It's just easier because you can maneuver this. It's easier to put this panel on last, obviously, because of the folded edge. So you could make the box with or without the base, but if you want to use the base as shown, you want to add glue to the bottom of the lantern body. And then I'm going to kind of put lightly glue. I'm just kind of making sure that the glue's around the edge, close to the edge. Because we can't really push down too much, but we want it wet enough so we can get it adhered pretty quickly. So I'm just lightly placing it there and then rotating it to make sure it's fairly center. And then once I'm satisfied, I'll apply a little bit more pressure. So I'm just pushing down on the edges first. Just kind of pushing down. You could rub a little bit in the middle if you want, but I don't think it's necessary. And then you can flip it over and just apply pressure this way. The key really is putting enough glue, but you don't want to oversaturate it either. And you could use a different type of adhesive as well. So I do spend some time with this piece to make sure it's nice and secure. And then we'll go back to the top. We want to do the lid now. So this is what the lid will look like, kind of. I mean, the shape of it at least. This is a preview of the Christmas version I'm working on. So we'll start with the top piece. So we want to go ahead and fold on all the score lines. And we're going to, the bottom tabs here, you want to kind of fold first in and then outward, because that's the way we're going to glue it to the larger piece that you see below it. So I'm just getting it nice and folded to get it ready. Let's go ahead and close this up, or at least just to get the not circular, hexagonal shape by matching up the other side to the tab edge. And then you want to go ahead and just apply good pressure to get that tab adhered. We're going to go ahead and add glue to these top tabs. And then we'll close it just like we did the top of the base. But as you close it, you want to kind of match up each side to the edge. So you can go around one side at a time. I wanted to make sure it was nice and aligned. And I'm applying pressure with my fingers inside as well. It will take a little patience, and depending on the glue, it might take a couple seconds. I had a little glue on my fingers, so I had to wipe them off so it wasn't visible on the outside. Unfortunately, because I have a fast drying glue, sometimes I wait too long, so I do have to reapply my glue. That's when that little fine tip applicator comes in handy. I'm just going around making sure it's good and secure. And then you can always reach in like that and apply pressure from within. I did have a little edge here. I want to show you if you do have the issue I talked about. Basically the glue was drying before I got to it. I just gently pulled it up and then applied more glue underneath. It would be better if I was fast enough to do it, but sometimes that just doesn't happen. So that's ready to attach to this larger piece once we get this adhered. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the tabs. Fold everything on the score lines. And then I had already pre-folded these, so now I'm folding them backwards, trying to get a crisp line the backwards, because again, this piece is now going to be attached to another piece below that. So we'll start adhering this top piece. So I alternated tabs this time. I was just trying this to see how this works. I kind of liked it with this design. So we're going to go ahead and just follow what you see, just adding glue to each of the tabs and then lining up the adjacent edge, regardless of whether the tab is on the middle piece versus the side piece. See, I'm just lining it up as I go around. And I do like it. For this, it was helpful to add glue to a couple pieces, a couple of the tabs in advance. Not all at once, but it gave me time so they wouldn't dry up on me. Fold in that side tab. I'll glue that on after I get this last tab on the top attached. Then we'll add glue to the side tab to close the section up. Then after this is nice and dry, we'll be able to add that top piece. So I'm just going around making sure the tabs are all secured. So now we're going to attach the tabs to the inside of the larger piece. So you can kind of put all the tabs inward and slide them in, but we're going to add glue to only one tab first. So make sure you match that tab up, the side up, to the tab edge to one of the sides. Make sure it's fit in there properly before you apply pressure. And then when I'm gluing something like this, I like to glue the opposite tab, and it helps to keep it straight. I've done it a couple of ways where I went around with each tab, but sometimes that gets skewed as you're gluing around. So we're going to glue the opposite tab similarly. So you're going to fold it over, make sure it folds over on the actual fold. If not, just gently push it in. And then apply pressure from the top and bottom at the same time. And after that's good and secure, we'll continue to glue the remaining tabs. Again, the reason I do these in order is to keep it as straight as possible so it doesn't get skewed as you're gluing the tabs around. That just came with time. I used to do it the other way, and then things would get kind of wonky sometimes. Yeah, that's a technical term. So you just want to make sure, what's nice about this is that you can flip it upside down and add glue pretty easily. And I do highly recommend, if you don't need to get this kind of applicator, but any kind of fine tip applicator is way much better than what comes with the glue bottle, regardless of the glue. But I do use only Scotch glue in this. So now we're going to put together, we're folding the edge pieces for the larger lip of the lid. So the edge, so we just want to go ahead and fold on all these score lines. And we're going to attach these two pieces. Got to get them matching up first, right? I had it flipped over wrong. Let's go ahead and attach them with using the side tab. So you go ahead and align the other piece to the tab edge, or tab fold I should say. And then we'll attach the other side as well. So what it's going to do is go around this edge, but I do have a way that I do it that's easier than just wrapping it around. So once we get this glued together, make sure it's nice and secure before you move on. I was trying to figure out how to do this a good way. So here's the other piece, the bottom piece. So what we're going to want to do is get it set around it. So you have the bottom pieces, pull the tabs in, and then we're going to set this piece around it with the tabs on the top. So this will become more clear in a minute here, but gently kind of put it around and kind of push down that edge piece so it's hitting the table. This will help us glue it together, but you also want to make sure that all the sections are aligned. You don't want it to be off a little bit. So this is why I'm adjusting it, making sure that if I need to turn it a little bit, I'll turn it to make sure that the score lines are in the right place and all the tabs match the sections. So once that's in place, let's go ahead and add glue to one tab. And you're going to push down. Make sure both sides are pushed against the middle's pushed against the table and the side edge pieces against the table. And you can see I picked it up to validate it. Then we'll do the opposite tab. So I'm pulling the tabs back so you can see the top tabs. I'm going to do the opposite. Again, this helps to center it in place. So the biggest thing here, you're going to glue all the rest of the tabs, but the biggest thing is you want to make sure that side piece is pushed down. So because you want to periodically check to make sure that it's lined up still, either before you glue it or after. But this way we're using the benefit of gravity for ourselves and we're making sure it's lined up. So the top, what we're looking at is basically it's the bottom piece that we're attaching again of the lip or the outside edge of the lid. And you can see once we get a couple on there it becomes easier, but again make sure everything's lined up. That side edge is lined up to that bottom edge where the tab folds are. And you can see that's what it looks like. Now we're going to add this top piece. The way we're going to do that is add glue to one tab. And we're going to attach it to this one tab. So you want to make sure you line it up so that edge lines up to that tab fold and in that section completely. It's critical you try to get the first one as accurate as possible. It'll help you with the rest. Then go ahead and add glue to 2 or 3 tabs at a time. And I'm going to go from to the left. I'm going to attach reaching in, and from the top also I'm going to line that edge to the side, apply pressure, and then continue doing it all the way around. You could reach in with the fine tip applicator like this, or you could flip it over. I mean, you just need to fold it back if you still can't get to it. There's ways to get a glue bottle on there. Just have to be patient. This is why I stick to the fine tip applicator I have, because it's long. I have a shorter one. But this is the one I always turn to for some reason. So I guess it's the one I like. I've tried 2 other ones. So you just continue gluing it around. And I do take my time trying to line it up properly, because you will see this as it's one of the widest pieces. And I know it's odd, but it is slightly off on purpose. You can see that the holes aren't lined up, or the cutouts for the top and bottom, but that's okay. That's the way I intend it to be, kind of just different. So that's what it looks like when it's all together. So now we have to attach this top piece to this lip. So similar to everything else, we're going to just add glue to one of these tabs, slide it in, and make sure that it matches up, that edge matches up to the inside tab fold, and then go ahead and reach in and apply pressure to that tab from top and bottom. Now it's hard to see, but you can add glue inside. So you just fold the tabs in and add the glue, and then fold them back to adhere them. And again, I did the opposite of the first tab to make sure I get it good and centered. And then we'll continue to glue the rest of the tabs. So once we get all the tabs glued for this, we'll add the final sections for the piece that will go into the actual body. So we're going to go ahead and fold on all the scores. I know I'm out of camera range real quick, but all I'm doing is folding this little edge, and then we're going to glue them together, just like we did the side. And you can see there's only 6 sections on this one. And this is the piece that will be inserted into the body, the top of the lantern. So we go ahead and make sure that both sides are glued to create this little hexagonal edge. And then we're going to glue these tabs to the inside. So we want to fold them back a little bit so they'll fold back easily. This just makes it easier to attach when you have a nice crisp edge. So you want to fold them all in except for one tab, and we'll attach that one tab. So this is all repetitive, the same way we've been attaching the other pieces. The only difference is it's a place that you really can't get to very easily. One way to glue these on is to insert everything, all the tabs in, and then fold them up enough to add glue on the other side of the tabs, which I'll partially do, but we still want to glue the opposite tab first. So once that one tab is nice and secure and the glue is dry, just fold it back gently, and then I glued the opposite side. And make sure all those tabs are folded in, else it won't go in easily. And then fold it over and glue it to the bottom piece of this little lip or ledge, however you want to call it. So you can see I'm pulling the tabs towards me. So it's not the most elegant way, but I'm adding glue to the other side of the tab. It's a bit of the reach, so I can't really show you easily, but the glue's on the other side of those tabs. So now I'm just reaching in, pushing them in, and gluing it to the bottom, this bottom piece. I'm applying pressure. If you had score tape, or you could do the glue pieces all at once if you wanted to. Just add glue to the tabs before you inserted it, and then just went around and fold them over. But because I'm so slow, I don't want the glue drying on me, so I just rather than having to do it twice, I did it this way. And it gives me time to apply pressure appropriately, and this is pretty much going to finish off the lantern, except for all the extra maybe embellishments that you add. It's pretty wide lantern too, so I have when I add it, I could do up to like a 3.5-inch diameter candle or flameless candle. So it just fits in there. And you can see this is what it looks like with a 3-inch diameter candle, flameless. And I hope you enjoy the project as much as I did, and I thank you so much for watching.